Oh, something new this week. We have something called group project, and you can click here to understand more about the need of group project. We adapted the notes from the mobile project. So if you see this, just it just means that don't worry, your Rails app are RESTful anyway. For the iOS or Android project, they should use some backend as a RESTful backend. So that's why it say it there. But for you, you don't care. You are in charge of your own backend. For group project, starting from this week, we start the process of forming the group. So if you click here, it's the same link is down there. I will update this link, but for now, it will be like this one, and we will delete all the past entry. This is from the last class. So then you guys, it's now our class job to enter project ideas. Let me paste this on our Slack. Lecture, feel like this same. Here's a group. I'll just name this back to lecture 1. Just lecture. How do I rename a lecture stuff? Alright, maybe someone else created that. I don't know. Maybe can you help me name the lecture to just lecture? So, what is it? This is the template from last time. The idea is that you can enter any idea, and let's have as many as possible. And put yourself as the person who suggests the ideas. And starting from this week, we think about those. Okay, what are the things we need to do, we want to do for our final 4 weeks. This is the only week remaining that you have to do an assignment. Starting from next week, there's no like long assignment like this. Okay? Don't be happy yet. There's actually homework. We actually have something else. I will start adding some content from this course, and there will be some challenges for you to work on data structures to help you, like when you prepare for interviews, and you can do a better job. So they will just link to some website you can solve problems. But you see, these are much more boring, but also interesting for some people who love solving some programming challenges, things like finding some numbers in an array, and so back to our course though. I will introduce that as small homework. They're very small, and it's up to you how much you want to make out of it. But the goal is here. From week 4, at the end of week 4, you guys will be in groups, right? There will be a form, and you can enter the name of people you like to work with. You can select that, and you can select people you don't like to work with, and our platform will match. Alright? It will match, I think. Let me see if I can show you an example. Project group.
Is there any way we can see a picture of the person?
Yeah. Well, if you upload your GitHub image, the picture will show up. Yeah, so I can assign people based on what you guys select, and not just selecting who you want to work with. You also enter some ideas, and these ideas, it will autocomplete, so it will find the ideas that other people have entered. They'll look like this. Okay, so start making friends, because if people don't like you, you will not have any good project. All right, up to you really. Some people add in here like, please don't let me work with Tim, because he's the best one in class, so he will do all the work. I have nothing to do. I have people who write stuff like that. Tim here is a fictional Tim, not a real Tim, right? Here is our sheet. Okay, so start entering things that you like. Any question about the brainstorming sheets? We'll remind you every day to add ideas. Who want to throw me an idea to put in here?
Who owns the idea?
it really it's an open process really here. And if you, the idea is that, well, you can put it here, but who really likes it enough to do it better than you do, right? So, for example, for example, here will be like, let's build Pinder, right? What is Pinder?
Dating app for OC.
For rich people,
Yeah, sure.
for rich men and poor women, right? And then you can just see note in here, right? A man should be able to, right? I don't know, connect to his bank account, right? You should write some user story like that, and then user should be able to declare the what's that? Their actually this should be a user should be able can change gender. No, cannot change gender. Something like that. You write some important, you know, a user has to upload, image and to be a woman, and then upload a credit card to be a man, for example. So maybe you can sell this app here, and then someone else will build something else, for rich women and poor men. Okay, and you only let poor people, people who make less than $1 million a month will become poor, and people who make more than 100 million a month will become the rich people. So maybe that's Pinder. I don't know. Add something else, right? Who suggested this? Not me. Okay. Any question about groups? We're not doing the exercise here. There's just a lot to cover. I rather spend time working on the assignment. But yeah, read this, and next week lecture, I'll talk about group projects again. All right, let's look at this week. We're learning about testing. And, oh man, who here has done any testing in code before? You have. Yeah? What library do you use?
I don't know. It's like Circle C.
Okay.
It's I don't know. I write CSS for like this big financial app,
Uh-huh.
and everything I do breaks the app. So like, I don't know. I mostly just like report stuff, so I don't really like
Okay.
write the text.
Interesting. Okay. As in, so after that, you find a way to test it.
So they have a bunch of tests written,
Yeah.
which is like user interactions, and then if the tests fail, we'll like go through and then rewrite the test so that it'll pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can you tell me about the test library you use for anything? Google test.
Yeah.
What library is that?
That Google test
Okay, Google test. For what language?
for C++.
Okay, C++. How about you?
Unit test for test function.
Unit testing. Who here knows unit testing? Heard of it? Who here have heard unit testing the first time in your life? Raise your hand. First time in your life. Unit testing. All right. So, any library for that?
For Go.
Go. Okay. All right. So normally, some like Java and some other libraries, they tend to call this testing library test unit, right? Or like JUnit. So the idea is that it helps us write unit tests. What the hell is unit test?
Testing the
Small unit.
function.
Yeah, so unit means something very small, so you break down your app into small things and you do unit tests. If you want to learn about testing, right, it can take a long time. I can have another 8 weeks to teach that. Unit testing is only one type. And then who here can name some other testing?
Integration test.
Integration test. So it's not unit, but like this unit talk to this unit. So you test the beginning and then you test the end. After they go through, if the integration test passed, you can feel pretty good about it, right? But if it breaks, you actually don't know which one breaks, and then you actually have to go in. Maybe that's when you run in unit test, so you can know what unit breaks. Any other? Huh?
System.
Random test is one type of testing where maybe you feed junk data, random data. Another way is you have like 1,000 unit tests. They work when you run them in test unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But sometimes if you random the order, this unit may create something that breaks the other unit. So you say system test.
System test. Not that. Stress.
Yeah, stress test. Sounds easy to understand enough. If I give you 1, 2, 3 inputs, that's okay. You know, a lot of input, maybe it fails. Under, you can stress on either space or time. Right? Is it running out of space or running out of time? Is it too slow or is it like not enough memory to store input? Right? So there's a lot regression tests, like things worked before, but you just want to make sure that it doesn't break later. Well, the concept is that before you do something, you run regression tests, right? When you deploy to production stuff. All right. Well, in Rails context, we mostly you will do unit test, and then in this homework, we'll learn to write tests like this. Unit test. So maybe model is the easiest case to understand. So far, how do you test a model? Go to Rails console. Run it. Sweet. Very nice. Write some code changes. Type reload, exclamation mark, enter, and then try it again. Just press up test, right? So this is called what? Console driven development, maybe. Or keyboard, like up, you know, and then enter. There's a better way to do it. Create a test for your model and then run that file. You can have that file run in the background, and then when you make any changes, the thing will just run. Oh, passed. It's okay. If it fails, it lets you know. So you don't have to go to your console. You write what you write in console in the test file. Same thing, you can do that with view test, controller test, routing test. But normally route and view and controller, they're already difficult to test in the Rails console, right? That's why I asked you guys to put code in the model when you can, because it's easy for you to test. So let's look at these cases where it's hard to test in console. Let's test in the test file. Okay, let's look at this homework. Let's do it together, and I will teach the concept while we're doing it. So please, ask questions. This is not gonna be super fast, so don't worry. All right, git clone. What do you do after you git clone? Bundle. Great. So you check. Okay, I have this, and then so bundle. Before I bundle it, just here I just double check. All right. So feel free to delete this file if you use a different, not the file. This line, Ruby line. If you use a different Ruby gem and you just don't want to change it, okay? Usually, if you work in a bigger project, you want to specify the same, right? Use the same database, use the same Ruby gem, etc. So what do I have so far? Just that, right? It's bundled with a newer bundler. What else do we need to do? DB. Okay, I probably have this from last time I taught it, so I just DB drop and DB create. Okay, so what is DB setup? Environment data not found in the schema. That's done. Okay, I don't need to drop. All right. What is? Still nothing new here. What's your question?
DB setup.
Yeah, what is the DB setup, guys? Why is it so slow? What it says here, create the database, load the schema, and initialize with seed data. There is a difference here. It does not run Rails DB migrate. When you run Rails DB migrate, it runs this based on the order, right? So I like to run my project Rails DB create, DB migrate, and then make sure that it works. But after 1 year, 2 years, you should do it and then make sure it works. But as you add some model, remove some model, you run DB migrate from beginning to end, your code probably crash somewhere in the middle. I like that. I just fix my migration file. But you need skills to fix your migration file, because sometimes it's really hard to do it in a way someone else can migrate from scratch. So as you use Rails more, you will have that skill, right? Another way though is that you're like, why do I have to run all of those when I already have this file, schema file? So people ask, should I check this file in? Yes. Check this file into your repository, and then when you deploy, when you set up, you want to be lazy, DB migrate failed, you can actually do Rails DB load schema, right? And then as DB schema load, that's the task, and that's a faster way. I don't like doing that because I like fixing errors, so I run DB migrate, right? DB schema load somewhere, schema load here, right? So DB reset is the easiest way, which is delete the database, I will create it and then just load from the schema. That's faster than running all the migration. Okay, let's look at the requirement here. You will try to do, this is some minimum requirement. Just do what you can. Okay, we're building something similar to Ticketbox, so it'll look like this. All right.
So we don't have to create the whole thing.
Right, you actually use our app, but don't worry, it doesn't have much. You still have to implement a lot of features. All right, DB migrate, and I probably need to seed some data. And when you check our project, you can check the seed folder to see if people DB folder, right? Is there a seed file? Some bigger app create a seed folder and then create Ruby files in there. Hey, do you want to share? All right. So some people create a seed folder and then put the logic, a lot of maybe I want to seed user, so I have users.rb in there. I want to seed or user.yaml, and then I seed events, I seed things, and then my seeds.rb file, I'll just load those files. You can do that manually, and then what Rails DB seed do, Rails just come up with just one way. Anyone can come up with this, right? But this means just load the seeds, just run the seeds.rb file with the Rails environment. Makes sense, right? All right, let's check out cat db seeds. Okay, so there's some data here. I just seeded. Let's run Rails server. Oops, so image is broken. We can just fix as we do this then. My computer is still slow. Not sure. 400% kernel task.
New macro, please.
No, it's not the macro problem. It's just I probably just need to restart. Come on. All right, what's the first thing we're doing here? User can see a list of upcoming events, and then we'll go and implement it. Let's check our code base. App model. Oh, I already have an event. This is like watching a Windows computer. Normally it's just fast, but during class time it's just really sad. It's just next time I should always restart my computer before. And I think before after lecture I will update this app to the latest version. All right, for now, look, we have this. We seed the data, right? And we have this. Okay. We have this broken homepage. Alright, it's just because of the CSS. I think it's updated to later when I run the gem install. It update to Bootstrap, CSS, and Bootstrap actually break stuff. All right, let's see. Do you want to troubleshoot? Yeah, this is Alpha 5. All right, I'll go home and fix those. What's the first thing we're doing here? Understand existing code. Right? Ask the right question and understand the code. As programmers, most of the time we spend in our programming life is actually on reading code, not writing code. So that's why we need to write beautiful code, right? That's why we need to write like easy to understand stuff, so we don't kill ourselves later and our friends won't, come and kill us. What is the schema so far? I have categories, events, and I don't know what this is, lines, but you can probably guess. Orders, publishers, region types. Oh, this app has a few things and already have, login, log out via device. All right, event, venue. Read this one. Right now, you guys read that. And please ask if, see if you can understand all of these things. Event. It's clear, right? When you create an event, you actually say, oh, where is it? You can say region, Hanoi, Saigon, stuff. But where is the I don't know, stage? What's the place? It's called venue now. Category is a way to filter and search for information. Ticket type, this is a bit tricky, right? An event, you register, you have to create like maybe VIP ticket type, and then general ticket type. Some ticket type is free, not. Very similar to your restaurant website first. You need quantity, right? Oh, VIP, I only have 100 or something like that. And then that's why an event has many tickets through ticket types. So now your relationship stuff seems easier to understand. Let's try to implement this. User can see a list of upcoming events. So I don't have an upcoming event stuff. So then implement this route to go to event/index. So event/index. So imagine this. We're doing test-driven development here. Upcoming. What happens? Crash. So what do? Look at the route. Yes. So how do you make this pass? You go in here and then you say get upcoming, and then what? Pass it to where? Maybe you do events index, and then some other things will display the list of events, right? So that is the cool thing where you see error and then you fix the error, but only it does that once. If later someone else removes this page and your app's still working, you have no idea. So let's implement a test for it. In this app, we're going to look at the structure and see, all right, I have spec. Your app is either a test folder or a spec folder. If you create Rails, then it's a test folder from scratch. It's a test folder. During lab, you will learn how to install RSpec into your project. We put RSpec Rails. This RSpec is a testing library that uses more human language, and so RSpec Rails, we put it in here, and then you will follow the Rails RSpec instruction in the README file as usual. It's okay for you to use the default test framework, by the way, but most companies use this, so I'll just teach this. We can do other things later. Add the Rails version, and you need it for development, not just test environment. It's clear we don't need it for production environment, right? Why load all these extra libraries for test development? Because when you run in the console, it gives you some command line tool, so you want it in development as well. Test is when you running the test, so it loads different database, the test database. That's why you also want it in the test environment. That's clear. Install it, and then when you generate RSpec, it create just a configuration file in this .rspec file. You can say, hey, when you run test, run it randomly. Hey, when you run test, print the colors. Hey, when you export the test, maybe run it, show me in HTML. You can have other format, right? Spec helper. Not all Ruby app when you use RSpec is a Rails app. It can be just a Ruby gem or anything. You can use RSpec to test it. So spec helper is a file that load RSpec into with your code. That makes sense. And then when you run RSpec, it knows where all the models, all the classes below. But then because this is a Rails app, so there's also a Rails helper. They separate the two logic. In the early days, they did not separate this, but All right, I have this spec folder here. All right, I have these things. Now, reading code. Ignore these things. This is you will do it in the homework. It's just a way to see how much of your code is tested. So it's quite nice. So RSpec. This is the spec helper. Most of it is, just the default setting, so you don't have to worry about it. I will see if there's anything worth explaining. All right, the order is, set here. Remind me to explain what double is, but I won't explain right now. Okay, so there's nothing much in here. It's about sharing code, and this is really confusing. You never have to touch it. So that's okay. Rails helper. What is it? In this Rails app, it set the environment file. Makes sense, right? And then it load the spec helper file because it's a Ruby app, right? And load the other default, setting that it's in the spec Rails folder. It will load your Rails app. This line makes sure that your test database is migrated to the same migration level as your development database. This is new in the past. Early Rails, they did not do it, and sometimes you're like, it worked in the Rails console, and then in test it doesn't work. So now it automatically migrate for you. You don't need to do Rails DB migrate test environment anymore, right? Similar Heroku, right? You run into that problem a lot. I will show you a trick so that whenever you push to Heroku, it automatically migrate. All right, it's just added recently. It's called a release mechanism. So after you release an app, it will migrate. All right, so when you need to, you will look into this stuff. There's nothing here. There's not much. So what do we look at? In this spec folder, we will put all our test files. We have nothing here. So I'm going to do something. I am going to generate test. Rails generate RSpec model event. Wait, what are we testing? The routes, right? All right, let's generate a route. I don't know if there is one. So I Google call RSpec route test. Okay, so they have RSpec model helper job. Okay, so let's look at this one. Actually, if you can look at that one. I will cheat and look at our lecture notes. All right. We will put the this here, where's the routes? Okay, we'll do something like this. So you guys look at it and then tell me how to code. Okay, require Rails helper, and then just add a test to it. So how do we do it? We probably can just do make dir spec route, and then put a routes file in it. Routes incoming spec.rb. So in here we say require Rails helper, always rspec describe routing to, you can describe it as anything, upcoming. Alright, route type is routing, do. So this is a group of tests. So then for each test you can say route upcoming, maybe this is just display, yeah, we'll just do it for now. Okay, to events new, no, index. And in here, how do you write the test now? Expect, this is the format, expect something to, and then something, and then we just compare the two parts. So I say there's a route test, get, it's very similar to a route file, right? If someone sends a get request to upcoming, then it should route to controller events action, maybe I say action new, for example. Okay, let's try run it. Why do I do that? I want to, you can say, you can do this and it runs the entire spec folder. Okay, what happens here? Why? Correct. Develop a good habit, always write a test that failed first. Don't just write a test that passed, right? So you're trying to compare here. You see the plus and minus here? The minus is expected and actual. That's the thinking, right? So, and I put new here, right? Action, and I run this again. Okay? So, I think, oh, I don't have a guard. I can set it up so it just observes my files and always run it, but I think it's not set up yet. So rspec spec, what's that folder? This one. Run it again. Oh my god, so slow. Early Rails 5 much slower than Rails 5.01. Okay, so it's fast. I finished my readme, right? Let's go back here. Implement this to go to events index. So let's test outside in. It goes to event index. What's the next test I should write? Maybe a controller test for events index, right? Yeah. So I will generate a controller test. I'm not sure if rspec give this version give it, but I will just make the exact structure, like app model, app controller. So I have spec model, spec controller, and in here I will do like what is it? Event controller spec.rb. Okay, so that's the convention. I build controller events, and I'll just try and see what happens here. Yeah? A conflict? No. Conflict? You see this guy? It creates what I need. Alright, so then I say quit. I have events controller already. Good. So let's go to controller, events controller. No, this test file. It looks like this. Type controller. Alright, what should we test? In here, implement this. In this one, let's look at a controller test. Can you guys, who can Guess what are we testing in the controller?
Respond error code.
Yeah, perfect. So describe. So when you do describe, then inside you can have a bunch of tests. So I just group them. So you look at this thing on the left, right? Respond, 200 when someone go there. Does that make sense? Visiting. So here's the syntax. Go to this page, and then there's a variable called response. So then the users say, you can even do like dot code to equal 200. That's the response code. There's a other way here to have HTTP status 200. And if I do that right now and I run this test, it passes, right? So that's not good enough. Maybe let's do something else. Loads events. Okay. Also get index, and then you guys say get expect, right? Some variables here, like events here. Remember in the controller, we haven't implemented the code yet. This is test driven. So get this, and then you expect what? To be maybe here. Oh, Rails. Oh, R6. You start with an empty database for each test, unless you do a before block. Okay. So in here, I say event.create something. All right. I put some stuff in here. All right. And then I say get index, and then I can say make sure it has add events. Something like to equal like for example, here's my event, and it's equal this event, right? So you cannot do add events. This add events is in this current test block. So there's a syntax to get the event from the what? Controller variables. So that's why it's called assigned events. It should be like this. Does it make a bit sense or not? We say, let's say if I have one event, okay, and I'm gonna go to index, and the controller will run. I'm testing the controller. After the index action is run, then I should have a variable called at events, and the value should be like this. Okay. Unfortunately, Rails realized that this test is quite useless. So they take out the controller test, but we'll try it anyway. It will complain that, oh, this is deprecated. Please include the controller test back in. I don't know. We do have a problem here. We need to create an event. So in this case, I'm just gonna fake it. So new, and then event.save validate false. Okay. I just create an invalid event. Oh, see, assign has been extracted to a gem. Then use this. If you use this, then you can test the way I test here. This is a block application. For the sake of in time, it's still a good practice to drive. This is how we learn testing. Oh, I went from routes to controller. I will skip this for now because we can test the same thing here in view. So just skip this, okay? Comment out. There's nothing wrong with adding this back to your gem file. It's just some different new thinking. I have to add it to my past, real production apps. All right, but what does the controller do? Controller loads some event, right? Actually, the controller will call a method called maybe event.upcoming. So implement this with a test. So I'm going to implement a so let's commit this at routes and controller test. Maybe as first. Model is the most exciting. So Rails generate aspect model, and then we can generate that for for event. Okay, it just create that file. Done. So let's look at the event model. Okay, You see all this validation? That's why it's so hard to create a real event. But it's okay, we don't need a big event. So if you run the model test now, it just say one pending test, right? R spec model, everything, you run all the tests in the model folder. It say, hey, this is a nice way for you to write pending something and then later come back to it. Because when you run, it will show you in yellow. It's kind of nice. Not yet implemented. Okay, so you can say, pending test incoming, or maybe test outdated event, right? Past events, I don't know. But for now, I don't have that. I would say it test. What do I test? The upcoming method here. When you test a method, you may have more than one test. So you need to describe them, to group them together. So I describe. Yeah. What do I put here? Dot upcoming do. Alright, does that make sense? Seems like the syntax is really nice, right? Alright, it should be something. So you say it is empty when there are no events. So the database is empty right now. If I do event dot upcoming, I expect it to be what? To equal 0 or what? Like that. Does this test make sense? It reads like English, right? Upcoming returns, or you can say should be. A lot of people write test with should, and then when everyone writes should, and then people say, well, you don't need should, just say be. Alright, so returns, I say event dot upcoming returns nothing when there's no event. So if I run this right now, what do you think will happen? What do you think will happen? Huh? Undefined method, right? This is test-driven development here. Let me do if I can run guard. I have guard, right? Okay, guard here. So bundle excite guard spec. So guard is a gem that when it provides you an executable. That basically, let me check. Why can't it find it? Check the guard file. This is the guard configuration file. If I say guard rspec, it will run bundle rspec every time my file changes, right? So guard generate. Let's look at the gem configuration. Why does it cannot find command rspec? Bundle, like it's right here. So add. How do I generate pin stuff? Not here. Who needs to run bundle exec every time you do like Rails stuff? You just write Rails. So your gem, the RVM stuff, if you set up correctly, it works. But some Rails provide a bundle, provide you a sure way of finding the right Rails file. Sometimes you have to do that. And also Rails provide you some stuff is the binary in the bin folder, which is the wrapper. You just find the right Rails file. So normally I have bin guard, but also as well. And I'm not sure why this is not working. I run this. Alright, include rspec guard and one. I just guard. I just run all the stuff in there. Alright, guard is, guard rspec is running. Alright, so what are we doing? If I go to event model, if I save, see, it will see that event.rb is saved. It will go to spec, find the event, and then put the underscore spec.rb. You'll find the right file, and it will run it. So upcoming. So let's do test-driven development again. So what do you want to do here to make the test pass? Dev self.upcoming. You need that, right? So when you save this, what happens? The test run. Do it slowly like this. So now do you understand this error? This returns nil, but I need to return a list of events, so I'll just make it fast. I'm done. I finished implementing the method. Is that right? Well, that's just only one test. It forces you to write good enough tests. So let's go back to this thing. Maybe I can implement something else. It returns what? One event when there is one event. You know, you write test case like, you know, maybe 10 events and all of that. So I have event.new, and because it's very hard to save an event right now, so I just fake an event. So let's say new save validate false, and I will copy this line, enter. But I need to write a good test, right? I will expect that if you find upcoming, it should return me the list of events, and it should look like this. One event in an array. Be careful when you compare an array. When you load the data, it's ABC versus ACB. So that's a better way. It's if you don't care about the order, like if you want event 2, then we will create another test soon. All right. So what's the error here? Guys, expected this thing, but not. So what should I do? Huh? Like this? Just return everything like that. Right? And then my thing passes again. So what if I create another test, you know, returns only upcoming event. So I have, you know, event 1, event A. How do we do, you know, event B? Let's find some date time. Start at here, see? So let's say start at, you know, 1.day.ago. This one starts at 1.day.from now, right? The third one started at what? Today is tricky, huh? So like, I don't know, maybe date.parse 2017 slash, you know, 12 slash, it's still in the future. Yeah? Okay, so I have ABC. What should I have in here? B, comma C, right? Let's enter. I'm not sure. Normally with this card thing, if I restart my computer now, it will run like super fast. Alright, so then it allows me to, it sounds really stupid to write things like that, but every step you take is so clear, right? And with this guard thing, it runs really fast. So, alright, I have some bug in my test code. So you actually have to do like, you know, ABC, you have to do A dot, and then you do the same thing for B and C. Why do I do like this? Instead of like doing a loop. Your test code, if it's clear, everyone reads it, it reads like documentation, right? So don't bother making a loop and do anything crazy, right? You're like, oh, this is repeating my own code. I'm gonna do a loop of ABC dot each, and then you know, put that in an array, and then I have D, and then D dot save validate, and you're like, oh, I'm so smart, you know, I write code that use an extra variable. I just tried that. It's clear for you to read. So what happens? It passes or not? It fails. Why does it fail? It say diff here. It does the comparison, right? Expected something and then got something, expected something. Oh, here's a difference between them. So expected, how many events? One event, but then I get down here, maybe I get 3 events. So there's a dot, dot, dot here. Be careful. Alright? So you can print if you want. You can go in there and add this print statement. But how do I do up here then to make it work? Should I do event dot last 2? It will pass. Right? No one hate that. Everything passes. Why? That's a bit weird. That's not correct code.
Because you modify your test.
Yeah, no, but my test maybe it doesn't cover all the cases. So maybe in this case I create B after C. Alright? Alright? So array, match array,
Yes.
B and C. Wait, what's going on? Why does it return? Oh, I'm so stupid. I changed the line, but obviously they are the same thing. All right, now B is created like this. Okay, it's still pass. So my test is still not good enough. It has to fail because my code is still wrong. So let's see. If I just change it to CB, okay? CB. It cannot. Oh yeah, of course, still work. Wait, what happens? It's. I mean, it's 2 array. It's AB. It's BC, and then compare with CB. That's wrong. So that's why RSpec provide you another thing. This you see EQ, right? You use EQ a lot, but for things like array, you want BC to be the same as CB. So it's called match array. Okay? So when you care about the order, it has to be 1, 2, 3, then you do equal, right? But if you don't, then you do match array. Make sense? There are a lot of matchers. This is called matchers, match array. You can also do expect something dot to include. Includes another matcher. There's just a lot more. Okay, so you can definitely read the documentation on that. Okay, so interestingly, it passes because I just do the last 2 here. But remember, if I save A last, what happens? When I do last 2, it will be A and C, and then it's comparing with B and C. Okay? So I'm making my test better. It's a bit trickier, right? I'm making my test better. Now I have to fix my code. So how do I fix my code up here then? Obviously, it's not last 2. So let's just write it, guys. What is it? Where starts at greater than time dot now. That's how you find upcoming events. There is one more problem. You can add your test code. Obviously, when you do this, then why is it failing? Oh, see? It's cool, right? Now you realize that your other test code is not good enough. See up here? You need to start at 1 day dot from now. Okay? And then this should pass again. So maybe you want to test for the case when there's only past event, no future event, and it's still empty. In general, try to have only one test per block like this. Keep it small. Don't try to test 10 different things in one block. Keep them as different each block. That's one test case. And the more test case you have, the more impressive it looks, no? And then you group everything together in one describe. Make sense? So now remember, like pending, testing of past events, that kind of thing. So why do you see dot upcoming here? It's dot is to test the class method. This is just a convention. You can write anything there, but keep it like that. Describe dot method name, right? If you do describe pound method name, maybe I need a thing called venue name. Okay, what should it do? It should returns nil if there's no value, and then it should return venue name, right? Like that. But if I don't do an and it's just it like this, this is a very good way to write documentation too. And what happens? It will consider these two tests as not yet implemented, not yet implemented, not yet implemented. Okay, let's make this fast. In the case that is nil to value is very simple. Event equals event dot new, event dot venue name. You want to expect this, right? To equal what? Nil. Yeah? But when you run this test, remember this one is still pending. When you run this one, how does it fail? It will say venue name is not found. So we go there and see the difference. Now there's no dot. We actually do venue name. This is why in your controller, you see the controller and then pound events, right? We tend to do pound for the instance method. This is the class method. Yeah? Dot is class method, pound is instance method. Alright, it passes. So very quickly, I need, let's say in this case, I have venue to be venue dot name jam center. Okay, and then event is event dot new, venue is venue, and I expect this guy to be what? Right. In this case, I say jam center because I know I'm writing a good test. Okay. It's a very good practice to write this kind of method, and then in the view, when you display event name, you just use it. In the view, otherwise, if you do event.venue. Something, it's too much logic. So if you start writing code this way, it's also a good practice. All right, what happens? Uh-oh. It always sucks when you have a bug in the test. The point of the test is to test for bugs. But just be careful, yeah? All right, so it's nil. So how do you do this? What? Huh? Venue.name. Because I already have belongs to venue. Right? Okay, so that's one way. Another way, you actually can use the delegate method. You can say delegate when you call .name, then you delegate to event. In Ruby, if you do this, then if you say event.name, it will become event.venue.name. Sometimes it's quite convenient to do that, right? Venue. But then sometimes venue is nil, right? So then you also, it will crash if there's no venue. So then you also say like allow nil is true. Then it can do event.name is the same as event.venue.name. When there's a venue and when there's no venue, it's nil. But what method do we need? Event.venue underscore name, not name here. So then you also say prefix true means it's when you do event venue name. Venue is the prefix based on the class you delegate it to. So you see this in a lot of code. It cleans things up. Create a good habit to put all the logic now, into this event model instead of going to another model. So I just have the same thing, but I had a test for it, and if I type it here, it should also pass. Yeah? And now let's see. If you're a new person coming in, you're not used to this, and you read this line, you start crying. What is delegate? What is prefix? Right? Oh man, and then you read the document, you read the test. Let's try changing this and run the test. It fails. This test exactly that delegate thing, right? So then okay, I think that's what he's doing. That's okay. No more crying. All right, let's. Yeah.
Back to the test page. In the you say on the upcoming.
Uh-huh.
Why you run many times was always true? Because I think the first.
Correct. Good question. Well, the reason is every time it's in this if block, the database is clean. It's clean. If you want this to be the same for each test, you can use a before block, and it just saves some code. But I don't like it unless, yes, you can create a bunch of venue, you can create maybe other types that this depend on, and then you put in a before block. It's very common if your app becomes too big. But you see, I don't need it. I just copy and paste, and it's very clear code for you to read. Yeah, you can do a before block. This is always, I say, I can make sure that there's always a venue already created, right? And then in all of these tests, I can use that venue. But if you don't have any before block, then the database is always empty when you run it. Make sense? That's why you can keep it like, so it makes the changes and then roll back and then test and roll back. Okay? That's
And for the order of the testing,
the order of the test case. I believe right now our specs say it's random, but you can set it to not random. When you run it, it will say. Okay? Alright, so you also see this coverage report generated for our spec, blah 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 here. That's because, remember, I use the coverage gem. So, spec helper. It's just when you use the gem, it asks you to put these two lines in your spec helper, and then it's a hook. So after you finish running the test, it updates. What does it update? You don't. Please check this folder in. Some people don't like it, but for your homework, if you check it in, is easy to show off your test. So when you check it in, then this is an index file. So what happens now? You see this file? I'm gonna open coverage folder, index method, and then let's see. I already, it knows how much I've been testing, right? Number of tests and how much it thinks that I cover. And then if you click in on this, event model, these lines show if you already test that line of code. Beautiful, right? Because I did the event.venue thing, right? So obviously it knows that this thing is already tested, right? So it's still not perfect. I didn't do anything with ticket types and category. I'm not sure why. But sometimes, you load it, maybe it's like in here, is there a way? It say like, there's one test for that, but hey man, I didn't really test that. So where's the ticket type? I think maybe because I have other model that test that. So it categories, is it here? Oh, it's not here. All right. Anyway, this is cool to have. You can use RSpec when you run RSpec spec, and then if you type format HTML, you can actually have a result.html file. I'm just guessing the format. Rails usually they're quite nice. So let's say I have that file, right? Result. I want you to take a look. What have we done? This is also why RSpec is one of the most loved tool. All this color in the console. You see, it grouped, right? So now you can read event dot upcoming returns this when this event dot this. You can give this to your project manager, to your user, to hey look, I built this thing. It's supposed to work because all the tests read like that. This is a very good way to communicate. And if you run a software agency, you do this, your client will be like, take my money, right? Because this is you can build for it. It proves that hey, it's quite carefully done. So use it as a communication tool. Then you don't have to document your code like crazy or create another doc. Depends. It's not easy to do that. Okay. RSpec itself is not enough. Sometimes you add like RSpec integration tools. There's some other extra libraries. Some company use Cucumber. Who has heard of Cucumber? I don't like it very much because it's really slow for integration tests. There's a different syntax. You say feature, blah blah blah, right? And then scenario when users sign into this, and then given, then, given when then. Given user is on the home page, when user click on the button, then user is taken to the next page. You can write all of that with RSpec, but people like more English, so they use Cucumber. And for integration tests, the way you set up the database is different. If you need data to be saved in controller and you go to the view, it's still there. It's okay. Don't worry. As you do this, you run into problems, then we read documentation together. Okay, so it helps you get get used to writing tests. I mentioned how when you write a controller test, it seems like a silly thing. It used to be a good test, really. Go to index. I have these events, so I go to index. You should load all these events. I wrote that test, right? Now Rails recommend us to write that in a request spec, not a controller spec. That's all. That's a very small thing. Your view test is still the most important anyway. So you're curious about the request test? Routing helper. Request spec. The reason is that they think, well, if you're testing the variables, you should probably test the variables with the view just by itself. It's not that useful. So the request spec is like this. Type request, but you create the, let's test, user sign in, right? You can create the user, and then there's extra syntax to make it useful to test with the view. So you can say visit. That's the same as get index, remember? So you see it's like visit index. Fill in here, it just use the selector, parsing the HTML file, and it will find a text field with the name, username, and then put their words in. And put the password in. And then it will find a button with the text login, and you can say click button. So it's submitting a request, and the controller is taking it. Right? Now you can test the controller, or you can test the view. It's up to you. So in this case, I say I can test the view because it's under a page. So I say expect page to have, when you render the page already, you have something like a header with like hello Joe. So you can write this kind of test. This is closer to integration test. That's and in your homework, you can use this for pages that it seems you want to test the interaction. Sign in, sign up is a great place to test that. Yeah. So request spec, right? You need an extra gem called capybara. If you don't have it, then you have to write the aspect where it's very long. But add capybara gem, it gives you these lines: visit, fill in, click button, and then there's documentation for that.
Just one question for the click button. The name login should be matched with the
Yeah, it's quite stupid. Click here and here, you just find a button with the text exactly login. Sometimes you make a typo and you're like, why did my test fail? And then the test will show expect blah 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 blah, lots of text, but getting blah blah blah, and then you look at them, they look exactly the same, except there's a small typo. So something to be careful of. And usually to have text is enough way to test it. If you have an event about Lam Chuang, right? You just create that, and then you expect the page to include the text Lam Chuang. It probably is okay. You can do expect it to have a partial, or the partial thing you test in the view. Sorry, the page is already rendered. You can test if the response is successful. You can test if the page has the text you need. Request text is very powerful there. Yeah. Sometimes people write cool URL, right? Remember, in Rails so far it's 1, 2, 3 kind of thing. Maybe you can write route tests for that. Event slash, 1 slash dash lam chuang, etc. You can give it a try. There are two ways to do this. One is to add an ID here, and when you find an event, just ignore all the text. You take this params ID and then do 2i, convert to integer. It will just give you one left. Then you can find the event. Some people don't do it. You don't have this at all. Then you have this thing as a word. You cannot have space, right? It's called a slug. And you have to add this as a column in your model. Or you can use the friendly ID gem. But then you can find the event by that slug. This slug is auto-generated from your maybe blog post title or event title. Makes sense, right? And if there's collision, same name, then it will append some extra text in it. My preferred way, starting out your simple app, just do like this. The number in front. And you can do that if you do Google Railscast, it will show it. Let's see. Why don't we just do it right now? If you go to event, load, right, .123, you go to show action, right? Right, cannot find event. So you can write test for this like this, and you can go to 123 Britney, for example. I don't know if that's not Britney, but yeah, you see this. So I go to show in here, then you can just like convert that, and then when you run it, it will complain 123. It's good. But when you do link to event, just do link to event. What it's doing is do event.id, right? Remember the link to, right? If you go to event and you say, come on, to param, okay, and then here is your event name. Is there a name? Oh yeah, name dot parameterize. Alright, and then you can even have ID, name parameterized like this. Alright, let's try. If I go to upcoming, there's this name. You see this link down here? Well, too small, but I click on it. It's now parameterized, but it's not Unicode friendly. So maybe you can write a better function than that. But this function is basically say, oh, is it A to Z, 1 to 10? Okay, keep that character. If it's not, change it to a dash. But it's cool, right? Now you can do Britney Spears that way. This is damn sure. Right? So that's all for today. On lab, you actually get to write, test, and set up RSpec. Thank you guys.